Okay, guys, hello and welcome to the Guest Life Podcast, episode 52. Can't believe it. Today, special guest here. We've got Tiffany Beveridge in the house. She teaches my niece, which I am ecstatic about. Tiffany is from a Caledonia studio of dance, among a bunch of other things, from charitable donations to her time, and just an incredible entrepreneur.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So just before we get started, guys, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. All listeners, aka my mom and a couple others. I do that joke every time, but it's still true. She does listen and she loves me. So
moms are the best.
She is the one of one. So today, just we're gonna get right into it. And again, we wouldn't be here without entrepreneurs like Tiffany and all the other guests we've had on the show. We just want to again thank Jobber for sponsoring our podcast now, which is pretty incredible. Seeing the growth of the podcast over the years has really been something that means a lot to me. And, being able to tell these great stories.
Amazing.
So Tiffany, tell us a little bit about you. What do you do up in Caledonia?
Yeah, so I'm actually a born and raised Hamiltonian.
Okay.
Grew up there all my life. Always in the dance studio. I started dancing myself at age 3, so it's kind of all I've known. Dabbled into other sports here and there. Broke my nose playing baseball, so I retired quickly. Just didn't really know what I wanted to do after high school, but knew it had to do something with dance. So I took the year off to work, and I was able to travel, go to auditions, do the cool, pro dance thing for a little while. I got to dance for some really cool people. And then when I knew that it was time to kind of settle down and figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up, is when I, in a nutshell, had the opportunity to purchase an existing dance studio. And that's where I am now.
So just a couple people. I gotta note this because her concert was just in Hamilton with Shania Twain.
Yes, yeah.
That's a big one. Snoop Dogg, Ginuwine, the Black Eyed Peas. To
name a few, yeah. That's my lineup. It's been a whirlwind of fun, hard work, but it's the coolest job in the world. So.
And so we talk about sports and competition, and you were telling us a little bit earlier about just the recreational versus competition. Tell us a little bit about, like, when you were younger, was it all competition right off the gate? What age does that start at?
Yeah, so back in my day, the competition scene didn't really break out yet. So okay. I started at age 3 up until about age 11. It was just kind of a recreational once a week kind of a thing. Okay. Every year I would beg my mom to add another class. So I was up to like maybe 5, 6 a week. And then I had the opportunity, I think I was about 11 when I started competing. Wow. And that's kind of when we're going back like 90s now, but that's kind of when the competition scene became popular and more studios were switching to the competitive route. So
and what was that transition like? Probably when you bought the studio, it was a little bit different from it is today.
Oh my gosh, totally different world. There wasn't really a fine line between recreational and competitive when I was young. It was kind of like if you had the desire to compete, just why not? Yeah. Now it's like a whole new ball game. So I'm talking like hours upon hours of training now. The kids look up on YouTube kind of the tricks they want to try and execute. It's a lot more tough now than it was when I did it.
And just because I'm so up on the game right now because of my niece. There's so many different types of dance as well, right?
So many, probably 9 plus. Yeah, different. We call them genres. Okay. And they range from your classical ballet, jazz, and tap dancing. Yep. And now they've evolved to lyrical, contemporary, acrobatics is another one. Musical theater is a different style. And they started branching out because probably in the last 10 years, I would say, dance has really become a big part of the mainstream. Like you see dance competitions on TV now with So You Think You Can Dance and Dancing with the Stars and all those things. It kind of made dance in everyone's home and get more. I've had a lot more boys sign up for dancing since it's been on TV. Wow. So it's been great. So that's really helped the dance industry is having these TV shows.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about, just 'cause I'm so interested, because you said you bought a business, or you bought into a business.
Yeah.
So like when you bought it, how did you go about doing that?
I want to say in a nutshell, it kind of fell into my lap.
Okay.
But the backstory is essentially when I was a teenager, I started assisting at my local studio, which is what a lot of kids, like that's kind of the next step. And then that turned into getting my own classes. And then after teaching and getting some experience, I broke out into different studios in different cities as far as Brantford, Grimsby, and everywhere in between. And then I moved away for a little bit. I went to the States and I lived in Europe for a little bit.
Wow.
And then upon returning, just honestly, a lot of luck. One of the studios was looking to sell and I was looking to kind of start over, and we kind of got together, and that's how I bought it from her. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was a lot of luck, good timing, and just, I don't want to say ambition on my part, but I was coming home looking for something like that, and it kind of just was the right time for me. So.
Oh, I love that. I don't believe in luck, so I would say it's hard work, but I appreciate if you do.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's fantastic. And so do you find that you have a passion? Obviously you do, because I've seen it, but tell us about the transition from the passion to doing the dance and teaching.
Yeah. So, like I said, growing up, I knew I wanted to do something in the dance world. If you asked me when I was 9, like I wanted to be on Broadway, like I wanted to be the star of the show. And then as I got older and I realized how fulfilling teaching is, that's kind of when my gears kind of shifted a bit. And I realized like I get a lot more out of teaching young ones how to dance than, I mean, it's really cool to dance, you know, for Snoop Dogg, but I kind of been there, done that. And then I wanted to pass on my passion as well, because I'm super passionate for the arts. I love the creative freedom you get from it. I love how many life lessons dance teaches you beyond steps, and just sharing that with a younger generation who I see like reminds me of myself at that age is just super fulfilling to me. So.
That's
easy
amazing.
switch.
Easy switch.
Yeah.
Doing what you love. We talked about it the other day, and just the concept around not loving what you do if you're not good at it and you don't understand it, and then creating that passion through being good at something and then wanting to share it with others. You know, it's the most rewarding thing you can do, I find.
Totally agree.
Yeah. So now talk about the business side. So obviously you have this passion, you have this idea, you can come back from Europe and the States. Where did the business mindset come in, and how did you become this thriving entrepreneur?
Okay. Loaded question, because I would say when I started, I really had no business sense. I didn't go to school for business. I actually didn't have any post-secondary education. So after high school, I took that year off to work and travel, and then didn't really have time to get back into college. So, but looking back, I always had an entrepreneurial spirit. Like growing up, I had the paper route. I was selling like bracelets. I was making them in my bed, like after I was supposed to be sleeping, and selling them at school. I was always hustling and having little jobs when I was little. So I knew that I had this type of leadership potential. And then lucky for me, it just kind of meshed really well with my passion for dance. And like I said, the timing of someone else wanting to sell when I wanted to buy, and kind of just fit right in. And
now, like, what are your next steps? What are you going to do? How's the business being evolved? And
well, so
insider information?
Yeah, no. It's funny because since owning the studio in 2009, I've switched locations 2 different times. Once was not my choice. Like the landlord just needed a space back. And then the second time I moved to a larger building. So every time I do that, I think, okay, I'm set. I don't need to grow anymore. I'm happy with this. And then when I got to my building now, I think I started with 2 units. And then the next year, 1 became available. So I'm like, got that unit, and then the next year 2 more came available, so I got those. So as far as growth goes, it's just basically my goal is to reach as many dancers as I can and kind of share my love for I just love inspiring people and showing, especially young girls, to be independent and just to kind of teach them that even though you're a mom and you're busy and you still can follow your dreams and you don't need anybody else to help you out, and you just follow that path and you can do anything really. So.
And you talk about that next generation, like I find with sports, it can be like I remember all my great hockey coaches and I forget all the bold, like the bland ones. How do you find the next generation? What are your thoughts?
Like as far as,
were they motivated? Are you finding that they're interested? Are you finding that they're, again, we're talking about dance here and the arts and their passion. And people talk about, oh, the next generations are glued to their phones or they're glued to their iPads. It's like, well, obviously if, they're thriving and you're giving them something to do, that's not just putting a screen in front of their face.
Yeah. I'm really lucky because once I get them in the door and they show an interest in dance, I find that it's my turn to turn it up and, get them motivated and engaged. So it's really important for me to have a really inclusive and encouraging studio culture at my studio. I'm not all in it for the trophies and stuff. I'm in it to really teach and mold. And I understand what a big role I have for kind of shaping how they react in a team setting or how my classroom structure is going to affect them later on in school. So I take that really seriously. So I'm grateful that by the time they show interest and they get signed up for class, it's my job's easy because I do what I do. I teach them to dance. We have fun, and that kind of gets them hooked. So.
That's amazing. What's a normal week look like for you?
Well, it's all over the place, but our studio's only open in the evenings, so it's mainly an after-school schedule. Some studios run programs all throughout the mornings, and I don't have the time to do it any more than that. So during the day, it's a lot of admin work. I have 2 daughters myself who are also in love with dance. So I get up, I do their morning routines, get them off to school. And then I always try to have a little me time in the morning. That really helps balance my day so I don't feel like I'm constantly working. It's really easy for me to work from morning to night because I do love what I do so much. But I try to sneak in, even if it's a little, like a trip to Starbucks where I sit down and drink it in Starbucks and have some time to myself. It just really helps, my mind shift from work mode. So, and it's just a whole bunch of, answering emails, creative planning, picking songs, researching, the newest
jamming out in the shower
all the time. Yes. There's constant music in my life. Yeah.
That's amazing. And the genres must be.
Yeah, it's wild. I love that I love everything. I have to love everything, as far as country to indie music to, rock music. You can really use any song and pput a dance to it. So amazing. I got to kind of be on my toes all the time.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah.
And then, so in terms of you got your day to day, talking about the being a mom, let's kind of pull it back to that. Being a mother, raising 2 daughters, having them in dance. Yeah. Did they get an option, or was that?
I would like to say they did. Never have I pressured them to dance. I am just super lucky that they love it as much as I do. It helps with my schedule. If they were figure skaters, I would be screwed because I wouldn't be able to get them to practices or watch them in performances because that's the same time that we run. So yeah, it's awesome that they love it and I get to share it with them. We talk dance all day long. We jam out in the car we're just listening to the Barbie soundtrack today because there's so many cool songs that we could use for dance routines. And it's just super cool that I get to share all of it with them. And I hope one day that they would love to work there and eventually take over because they know as much as I do in that building. So, yeah.
And so when you're talking about creative juices, Where do you get your creativity from? Like, I'm sure it's daily. You've got to come up with something new.
Yeah, it usually starts with music for me. So like I said, I have Spotify on in the background all day long. And then I usually hear a song. I could be in the grocery store and hear something. I'm like a huge Shazammer. So I like hold the phone up to the speaker in the store. Not ashamed to do that. But yeah, I'll hear something. And the cool thing about dance is you get inspired by the most random things. You could hear like a news story and be like, I want to create a piece that, involves that subject line. Last year, one of my teachers, super, super creative younger staff, created a whole piece around gun violence in the U.S. And it started with, the song started with news reports of breaking news from the States. And just the way she put it together was just so genius, and it got her point across. It was really powerful to watch.
Wow.
But yeah, you can pull it from everywhere. But for me, my brain, it always starts with music. Music is my go-to.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Charity. Our boy, Vinny Vax, and yourself, dancing with the Hamilton Stars.
Yeah, that was
Tell
amazing.
Tell us a little bit about that with Easter Seals.
Yeah, so I've done Dancing with the Stars for 3 seasons now.
Oh, wow.
Every year they pair a professional dancer with a local celebrity. Local celebrity meaning anything from business owner to, radio DJ. And the goal is to just raise as much money as you can for Easter Seals. So this year I was lucky to be paired with Vince. Never met him before. So I remember our first interaction on the phone, and Vince.
Of course.
So he got on the phone. He let me know that I had nothing to worry about. He had lots of rhythm, and I'm thinking, oh God, here we go. And it ended up being such a great partnership. We had so much fun.
Yeah.
Had to teach him 2 dances that he performed live in front of 500 people.
That's incredible.
And I'm very proud to say that he won the People's Choice Award by raising the most amount of money. He raised about $35,000 himself for the Easter Seals Foundation. Yeah.
Wow.
So we had a great season together.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's giving back is so important, but obviously being able to do it with something that you love and, donating your time, because I'm sure it wasn't easy.
It's lots of hard work. There's weekly practices. I donate my studio space as well for other dancers to rehearse their routines as well. But it's the one event that I couldn't miss every year. It's such a good time. I'm going to try to get you in there now, actually.
Yeah,
I think you do a good job.
That wasn't a plug. Oh, that's funny. And anything else, obviously just thinking about being in a local community, being out in Caledonia, you're probably the only spot?
I am now, yeah.
You are now.
Pre-COVID, there was a few others in the area. Unfortunately, with the times, some have had to close, but I'm currently the only dance studio in Caledonia.
And Caledonia's booming.
It's going crazy right now. Yeah.
It doesn't even look close to the same.
No, I think either side of me is building new development land. So they've got housing, they've got commercial units. It's going to be, I predict it's going to look something like this, like Ancaster Meadowlands type of a town soon.
Oh, that's incredible. Mm-hmm. And you're getting a lot of, so you said age 3?
We start at age 2, actually. 2 is the youngest. That's when we call it mini movers. And that's when a parent can come into the classroom and assist their child in class. As soon as they turn 3, though, they're on their own. They get sent in the room by themselves. And I teach them from 3 all the way up until 18, 19, whenever they have to leave for school. So.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, we talk about a little bit about your daily there. When you talk about work-life balance in a personal setting, obviously that can kind of get mushed together. How do you separate it? Are your weekends free? Obviously you get a couple hours in the morning to drink your Starbucks.
Yeah, it's probably not good advice, but I don't really separate. I'm not the best one for speaking on work-life balance. I honestly don't know if I, excuse me, if I even really believe in a work-life balance. Like I said, I love what I do so much that I want to do it all the time.
Yeah.
And when I do need like some time for my brain to shut off, I'll go and, it's bougie, but like I'll go get my nails done, or I'll go sit where I can't be on my phone and kind of take an hour to relax and, you know, focus on something else. But then usually when I'm done, I want to get back up and start editing music, or, you know, planning my class lesson for that night. And my balance, I guess, just comes from, self-care, taking some time off.
Yeah.
But really it's who I am. So I don't mind, you know, being engulfed in it.
And did you always think you'd be an entrepreneur?
Looking back now, yeah, it makes so much sense. Like when I was younger, you know, when you would go back to school shopping in elementary school, I was always excited to buy stationery. Like I wanted my pens and papers, and my, you know, my school desk had to be like perfect with all my supplies. Other kids were like getting, you know, Tommy Hilfiger jeans, and I had the best pens in the classroom. Just little things like that. I look back now and I think like, yeah, of course I'm in business. Like high school, as soon as you got to choose your classes, I was like in the business wing, like
really
doing accounting and computers and all that kind of stuff. So it makes sense.
And I'm sure you have the opportunity to see that through the next generation as well as you come through.
Yeah, I do. I have a lot of kids that ask my advice. I've done a couple, what's it called? I've gone to some of their schools in their careers class for career day and stuff. And it's funny because I always prep them. I'm like, I'm a little bit unconventional. Like I didn't go to post-secondary, so I don't have that standard path that most people take.
Yeah.
But it worked out for me. And I think as long as you have the drive, you can make anything work. So
I love that. So what advice would you give to your younger self?
Ooh, it would probably be a novel, but I would say the most important thing is to just take what you know about yourself and listen to other people's opinions and get their advice, but always stay true to the path that you think you should take. Because in the end, no one knows what you feel inside. Some people, like my mom, who I love dearly, she's actually, she works for me now at my studio. She's my office manager. She's the realist in my life, and I am more of like the annoyingly optimistic, ambitious one. So if I would have listened to her advice throughout this process, I wouldn't have a dance studio right now. But it's just in my DNA to take risks and to be more fearless than others. So my advice would just to be, put your tunnel vision on, do what you want for you, and don't take other people's advice too seriously.
I love that. You know, I think it's so important to be able to get their feedback and advice, but understand where it's coming from in a place where you can really fall into the trap of getting caught in the vision of others.
Totally. I think a lot of their advice comes from fear, like their fear, and not wanting to see you fail. But when you have the drive inside, I think it's appreciated, the advice, but it's, you know, no one can see what you see. So it's important to stay on that track.
Yeah, I think that's just fantastic. And it's also, to that point, I think being at a younger stage in your life, especially with somebody older, being able to, I have a theory, there's three types of people in our lives. You know, number one is friends and family. They love you, they motivate you, but they're never going to push you to your full potential because they don't want to see you fail. And so essentially they hold you back. Mm-hmm. Number two is everybody else, not really important. They're in your life, they're on your life, but they're not someone that's going to guide you on a path. And number three, we characterize that as a mythological creature. But the characteristics are they're motivating, they're supportive, they're going to push you out of your comfort zone, which sometimes can be conflicting, but they're going to support you if you fail. And we call those people unicorns. Mm-hmm. And the cool thing about unicorns is they hang out in packs. Totally. So once you identify a unicorn, you then become a unicorn, and you can share that with others, which I think you're doing with your dance studio.
I love that so much. I have to steal that unicorn theory. That's
you can
great.
steal
Yeah.
it, yeah. I think it's important to, there's that piece to say, okay, I'm a little bit weird. I'm a little bit different. Am I the only one? Mm-hmm. And then you start, sharing and telling and talking. And then someone else is like, oh yeah, I'm crazy too.
Yep.
And then, you link together and all of a sudden it's we can identify these characteristics now. And we can identify that that's what my mom's talking about and that's what that's going for. So, being able to connect the dots in terms of where the information's coming from, but also staying true to who you want to be.
Totally. I'm all about that.
Yeah, it's really great. Well, we're here, Tiffany. That was fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Again, guys, the Caledonia Dance Studio. If you want any of this information, Ty in the background there, he's been working very hard. He's got it all. If you have a little girl or a little boy that wants to get into dance, I might have to go down and just check it out for fun, but we'll see. Again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Tiffany, all her stuff is going to be on all the platforms, social, all the aboves, email, website. So go check her out.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show.
Of course.
Awesome.
Sweet.